If you're new to fasting, or maybe you've tried it before but you're struggling to see results, honestly, I'm not surprised. There is so much mixed information trying to sell you something. Fasting Tube is independent and focusing on real information. Let's get started with today's video.
The question, Rob Hanna, what are your thoughts on the fasting mimicking diet? You actually called me out by name and asked, Rob Hanna, what are your thoughts on the fasting mimicking diet? Have you looked at the research? Would you recommend it for someone trying to get started fasting? Positives versus negatives? I've looked at Valter Longo's research. His design of the fasting mimicking diet is a great idea to serve a specific purpose: help cancer patients increase the efficacy of their chemotherapy treatments. As I understand it, his stated motivation for creating the diet was to simply make it easier for people to complete a ketogenic protocol, as opposed to prescribing them outright fasting, which worked very well. It was a smart move to increase adherence with his patients. And without being cynical, it is also a smart way for him to productize his work and reach a broader market of financial support for his research, saving more lives through effective adjunct therapies and cancer treatments. I'm all for that, and good for Dr. Longo. As to recommendations, I'm not a purist when purity is not necessary, and if an incremental approach to cultivating progressive health and wellness gains works for long-term efficacy, then I'm a supporter and endorse such methods, including diet modifications to whole, organic foods and eating them unmolested, i.e., as they are found in nature, and intermittent fasting, total caloric reduction and fasting mimicking diets. These are all good with net positive results and few to no downsides and negative consequences, other than social contrarianism to the masses, which are always the negative case scenarios when therapeutic improvements arise to mitigate first world lifestyles and sad dietary choices. So go for it and mimic away. P.S. Chris Hargett has a good answer here as well. I do wish to respond to his final point in reference to fasting. It is a nitpick that could become misleading and in practice proves incorrect for those wishing to fast, given the general experience and practical history of fasting, as Hargett writes. For people with some health conditions or vigorous occupations, water fasts are dangerous. Well, no, they're dangerous not for some, only for very few people. And vigorous occupations have nothing to do with fasting efficacy unless one is attempting to fast for therapeutic results while going to work, which is as ridiculous as working full-time while undergoing major surgery or intensive chemotherapy. People correctly take time off for those medical interventions, and the same time off is prescribed for therapeutic fasting. One should always convalesce and rest. Fasting is never dangerous due to one's occupation, only one's stupidity and incorrect application and response. The list of contraindications to water fasting is such a very, very small percentage of the overall population, and only a temporal injunction for a larger set, i.e., pregnant and nursing women, that I can list it here. People chronically malnourished and or in a state of starvation, pregnant women, nursing women, those with anemia, people with porphyria, people with a rare genetic fatty acid deficiency of acetyl company A, preventing ketosis from occurring. Back to being vigorous, a big notion, as is the term dangerous, from both practitioner and wellness director experience. I put many athletes, mostly highly competitive amateur soccer players, on water fasts as part of their training protocol. The point is to strengthen their keto adaptive capacity under load. For example, I practice with my soccer team on day 9 of a water fast. That's pretty vigorous to any observer. Dangerous? Well, I'm not dead, not damaged nor otherwise at risk, but I'm a 55-year-old starting player who competes with and against 20-year-olds in the Premier Division of the Amateur Men's Soccer League, AMSA, here in Austin. And that ain't bragging, it's just an earned fact that I attribute primarily to the anti-inflammatory, rapid healing, rejuvenating and cellular strengthening effects that fasting in a fully keto-adapted metabolism convey. Honestly, I was physically damaged and done with soccer at 34, but fasting regained my vitality and then some. These benefits don't happen overnight, but they are accessible to all, but for the above few, and any who choose to walk the path, step by step. And yes, perhaps this will always be enjoyed by a very small number of people, because, as Valter Longo well knows, adherence isn't easy for everyone.